toilets. The ceiling that you pointed out to me had fallen down. It's still the same. The damages that we've got is still the same. I mean, for a couple of days or weeks after you had visited, there was rigorous running around by members of staff, but then it just all came to a stop. We've got a toilet downstairs, the door doesn't close. Nobody's attending to it. The latch, the handle has come off, and it was used to be kept on the side of the sink, but that's disappeared as well.
What, in your opinion, explains why interventions of this nature do not stick, are not sustainable? Is there structural problems? What exactly, in your opinion, given your close relations with the administrative side of the court?
We report the matter. Whenever we have a problem, we report it to the person in charge of taking care of that matter. And then we'll get the stock response that it's being attended to. And then when you follow up, you say, well, look, this hasn't been done yet. What's happening? He says, well, it's been reported. I don't know what they have done. So I say, follow it up again. And then you get the other stock report that they don't have the budget to deal with it, or it's going to be attended to, and you're fobbed off. It is very frustrating, and I can understand how frustrated the Judge President gets when he is receiving all these complaints on a regular basis.
Let me put it slightly differently. We called the three different organizations together, Public Works, Justice, and the OCJ, given their respective roles in this regard. One would have expected that some level of coordination was sustained between them in order to sustain the continuous improvements that were necessary. What do you think, in your opinion, has been lacking in ensuring that that tripartite relationship is sustained for the betterment of the conditions at the court?
In Pietermaritzburg, they've recently employed a handyman who has done a tremendous job in attending to our day-to-day needs when things break down and need to be repaired. I think we need to employ one in Durban as well, so that we don't have to keep on running the gauntlet, moving from one level to the other to try and get things done. But by and large, the biggest complaint has been the lack of funds. If you talk about our court building, it's just the same. We get inundated with complaints by attorneys and advocates about the condition of the public toilets that they have to use. And I feel embarrassed that we are still getting these complaints. We've got now security staff that are not working beyond their normal hours because they don't get paid overtime, with the result that the cleaners are not let in early enough to take proper care of the building. By 11 o'clock, the attorneys and advocates are coming in and complaining about the condition of the toilets. I mean, things like this, the JP doesn't have to deal with, but he's forced to.
It seems as if I may have to move office. Okay. It's fine. I'll make other arrangements to engage the court. Thank you.
Well, rest assured, Judge Gianda, on Saturday we had a meeting, the National Efficiency Enhancement Committee. It's been public works. We're sorting it out. Don't worry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chief Justice.
Commissioner Helens and colleagues, remember relevance.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Judge Gianda, in your time when you acted as JP in KwaZulu-Natal, what was your worst case of reserved judgments in one of your judges, both as to duration and number of reserved judgments? And what did you do about that?
Well, I've spoken about the one case where we had a judge that had a number of judgments that were reserved. I don't recall the exact number, and they had been reserved for a long time. And this judge had been in this position during the period of the presidency of Judge Patel, and during the period that I had been acting as Judge President, I then tried to arrange to keep the judge out of court as much as possible where I could, so that they could catch up. But
Judge,
I don't know the exact number or the extent of how long they were outstanding. There was one particular judge that had judgments outstanding for more than a year, but that was due to ill health.
Apart from the ill health, can you give me any idea of the number of judgments, and when you say long time, how long?
Commissioner Helens, allow me to interrupt you. Judge Gianda, fortunately, you're a very experienced judge. If you were not, I wouldn't want to unsettle you. Just be direct so far as possible, and then there will be a follow-up if a longer explanation is called for, please.
Yes,
Thank you.
Well, the longest, I think, was 12 months, and that particular judge had been ill and acting out of the division.
Yeah, I wasn't asking about the ill health. Really, it seems to me that your response as JP was to go and talk to the judge, ease the judge's burden, and encourage the judge to do better. Is there nothing more severe or more direct or more impactful that one can do as a JP?
I can't see of anything in that
Are you empowered
regard.
to report the matter to the Judicial Conduct Committee or threaten that?
Well, you can threaten reporting. That's about the...
But did you?
But I find that if you tackle it the way I do, it gets done. If you threaten somebody who's already in a difficult position, you're not helping.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Helens. Commissioner Singh.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you. Good morning, Justice Gianda. I just want to follow up on the question of access to justice. I mean, it's always a problem. The Premier touched on it. KwaZulu-Natal is a vast province. Now, access to justice can be lack of finances, an ability for the poor to access justice like a rich person could do. It could be location, because the only three towns I've heard you mention are Durban, Pinetown, Pietermaritzburg, and Squatpara. And yet there are other areas where people need to go to the High Court. Then the other area, through you, Chief Justice, is language, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, what can be done? We know these are challenges. What, in your view, can be done to ameliorate some of these kind of challenges that exist, that ordinary citizens have, that want access to justice?
You may be misconstruing my answer about in relation to the shortage of space, about us going out to Scottburgh and Pinetown. But our courts do go on circuit to Ramsgate, to Newcastle, to Mtinzini, to Matubatuba, and to Vryheid, and to areas like that. On a number of occasions, we have circuits there. So the courts do go on circuit. The language problem has been dealt with adequately by the provision of properly qualified interpreters in court.
So you're saying to us that the interpreters in court are properly qualified in KwaZulu-Natal?
Yes.
The next question relates to the advocates and attorneys that you spoke about. You said 15 years ago there used to be a system where they assist free pro bono services,
yes.
And you don't know why that's not happening. Has there been any move to interact with the bar, interact with the attorney's profession, and find out exactly why this is not happening, and do something about it?
not that I know of. I have canvassed to the senior counsel that appear before me, and from time to time, as to why these mentoring continued with. But the informal pauperous cases which I've referred, I don't know whether it's ever been taken up with the bar and the sidebar.
But
during the days of the separate, well, we still have a separate bar and sidebar, but previously the bar used to control that, the allocation of informal pauperous matters through the office of the Registrar of the High Court. But I think that with the equal empowerment of the sidebar, this has caused the problem with the informal pauperous matters.
Finally, do you believe that more should be done? And what can you do? If you are appointed DJP, what can you do in that regard? Because it's a very important way for poor people to access justice if they get free service.
Well, we've got to convince the law societies and the bar councils to reinstate that service with the assistance of the Registrar of the High Court.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ntlama.
Thank you, CJ. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes. In your response earlier, you said you ensure collegiality in the division. The question is, what mechanism would you put in place to ensure that collegiality? And second, relating to acting appointments. So what is your view regarding tapping into the academia to fill in the void? And the third one, since KwaZulu-Natal is very vast, what is your view regarding the infusion of traditional values in the interpretation of the Constitution? And the last question.
There should only be 3, please. There can't be so many.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you mind repeating? I didn't write down because I didn't expect them to be so many in one go.
Okay. The first question is, what measures would you put in place to ensure collegiality in the division?
Yeah. Yes. Well, in our division, we have every morning we have the judges tea, where all the judges or most of the judges meet to have tea and we chat. On Thursdays we have what's called judges' lunch, where all the judges have lunch together and we have discussions even after lunch. And in our division, very often we get invited by judges to their homes for various celebrations, so we get on very well. And I'm quite happy with what is in place to ensure collegiality. More than that, we don't have the time because we're busy working. Your second question was?
Your opinion on the challenge of acting appointments, whether would you go?
Access the academia.
Yeah.
You see, if the people at the academia were exposed to practice or to the court itself, then you could use people like that. But people who have total lack of court exposure, going to find it extremely difficult to take up an acting position. And that is why it's been a boon to the judiciary, the programs conducted by the Office of the Chief Justice in training aspirant judges.
Thank you, Prof. Commissioner Ndoni.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, ma'am.
The position of a DJP is by and large an administrative role. What are your primary strengths as an administrator?
Sorry, I don't get that.
What are your primary strengths as an administrator? Because the position that you're applying for is by and large an administrative role.
Yes, I've been in private practice and I administered my practice by myself. I have been an administrator in the amateur soccer organization called the Durban Football Association, and I administered and managed a football club by myself. So I have experience with administration.
I'm looking at the primary strengths. What are those strengths that you acquired in your role as an administrator, both in your practice and in the soccer club?
It's to be on top of things at all times. You got to know what's happening and be able to take care of problems that arise.
What challenges are you looking for in the position that you're applying for?
Well, the challenges are those that I've already discussed.
No, I'm talking
raised.
about the challenges that you are looking for, because when you want to go to a position, there's certain challenge, something challenging to you and your strengths about the position. What are those challenges that you are looking for in assuming this position?
To be able to overcome those difficulties that we have in the division and to ensure that all of the judges are happily working at their posts.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you. No, I don't know if you have answered her. Look, one of the responsibilities of a judge president and a deputy judge president is to ensure not only that the High Court works well, but also the district court and the regional court. And we know that most of the problems that the judiciary has is at the magistrates court level. How are you going to deal with those? Very briefly.
The magistrates court interacts with the judge president at the local, at the PEEC meetings, and ideas are exchanged.
Maybe for the benefit of other commissioners, what is PEEC?
Is the provincial enhancement meetings that are held.
Efficiency Enhancement Committee.
Efficiency enhancement meetings that are held in the province. And difficulties are dealt with at that level. The regional president is there, and between the regional president and the judge president, they deal with issues relating to the difficulties in the division and how they would be best dealt with.
Commissioner Nokesi.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Mr. Judge Kianda.
Morning.
I was not present in the previous proceeding that you were present, but I have read through some of the questions that you have to deal with. In one of your responses, in relation to the slow pace of delivery of judgments, you said more judgments if you are appointed as a...
Yes, there are many judgments that can be delivered ex tempore, where the issues are not complex or involved, and there is no need then to write or reserve the judgment for a long period. You can reserve it overnight to the next day and be able to prepare a judgment and deliver it. But what's been happening is that certain judges reserve, as a matter of course, every judgment for a period of time. Now, if we encourage judges where the issues are simple and not complex to deliver the judgments quickly and ex tempore, either on the day when they finish the hearing or a day after, it will deal with the backlog and the fact that there are so many reserved judgments.
Would you agree with me that telling judges to give ex tempore judgments would be interfering with how they conduct their work?
No, you don't.
In view of the fact, I want you to comment after I finish. In view of the fact that there are norms and standards which have been set out by when judgments must be delivered, what is the process of the JP when judgments are not delivered?
Not a question of telling judges to give extempore judgments. It's a question of encouraging judges to deliver extempore judgments where the issues are not complex and where they can do it, to encourage it, rather than reserving it over a period of time. And it has a disadvantage when it's a simple issue. You reserve it, and then you have a problem recollecting, and then it takes a long time to produce the judgment.
Also, there is now these days encouragement for senior judges to mentor the junior or acting judges. I understand that there was a person somewhere acting in Pietermaritzburg who was criticized by other an acting judge who was not delivering judgments, who was arriving to court late and not taking the court serious, I would say, from your response here. But I do not get what your intervention was as an acting judge at that point, a judge president at that time.
See, I was in Pietermaritzburg at the time. The judge in charge of the Durban High Court was Judge Kruger, because he was the senior judge. He was the senior there. And he complained about a certain judge just adjourning matters willy-nilly for no reason. And he wanted to know how this person got appointed as an acting judge. It was not a question of me interceding and doing anything. I could not. And he had to ensure that the work was done by that judge.
Commissioner Didiza.
Thank you very much, CJ, and good morning, Judge Gianda.
Morning, ma'am.
In your earlier answer to the Premier about how you deal with the issue of improving diversity in the division, particularly as it relates to gender, and in your answer you stated some of the things you do, but I would want to know from you whether you think it would add value to engage with the law profession in the division of, or in the province of KZN, and even working with others nationally, such as your BLA, NADEL, and other such structures, to ensure that through those engagements, you can have a possibility of encouraging people who may avail themselves for the acting positions, particularly to also address the gender dimension.
That is being done all the time, ma'am. That is being done all the time. And our Judge President does that, encouraging these organizations and the attorneys' profession, as well as the advocates' profession, to make people available to come and act in the division.
But I'm asking you specifically if you were given an opportunity to actually serve in the capacity as DJP.
Well, I've been doing that even when I was not acting JP. I attend the various meetings of the organizations that invite us and communicate with the members there about the need for them to make themselves available as acting judges. There's one particular firm that I've been phoning so often and leaving messages for a person to return my call when I was looking for an acting judge, but there was just no response. As I say, some people are making too much money in practice to be concerned about coming to the bench.
The last question relates to the judgment you delivered on the matter between Lesua and eThekwini Municipality versus eThekwini Municipality that relates to the powers of the municipality in regulating on environmental matters. And in reading through the summary of the judgment, it became clear to me that we may still, even though 21 years into our democracy, struggling with the interpretation of the Constitution in respect of the powers of the national, provincial, as well as the local sphere. And in your judgment, you indicate that implicit to municipal planning and its role, the Constitution would have assumed that even the local level, which is the municipality, have a responsibility to protect the environment. Clearly, which is what the other party, who was a property owner, didn't think so. And I'm just wondering, having recognized that, do you think there is a need to continuously educate society but also engage with the public sector, particularly the executive and the legislatures, for them to have a better appreciation of what are some of those tensions that the Constitution, that might be seen to be in the constitutional provisions about the powers and function of the various spheres of state or government?
Well, it would be important to engage with others about exactly what the Constitution provides in this regard. But then we must also bear in mind that we cannot then go and impose on other structures what their beliefs are. We would be accused of contravening the separation of powers if we go and tell the executive about, we go and engage the executive about how these things are to be interpreted. I don't see this as the function of judges. We deliver a judgment, and it's there for the public to know.
Thank you, Commissioner Didiza. Judge Kianda, you're excused. Oh, okay. Yes, Commissioner Ntsebeza, you didn't. I didn't note you.
Well, I think you couldn't see it. Follow-up question on Mr. Singh. What's your own proficiency in languages?
English is a language that I'm good at. Well, I think I'm good at. Zulu, I can understand a little bit, very little. I can't speak it. And my mother tongue, I can understand but can't speak it at all.
Afrikaans?
Afrikaans, I can read, understand, and write.
Now, other than
because
just...
I was forced to study at university.
Other than just relying on interpreters, and there have been disasters in having to do that, do you think that judges should be encouraged to acquire functional knowledge of at least one African language or a predominant African language in that division?
Yes, I agree. I agree. I see that it's even catered for as part of the university LLB degree. It's become customary for them, the students, to do Zulu. I suppose in the other provinces they do the dominant local language as well.
Would you do anything about making an effort or acquiring the use of an African language in the division?
Yeah, I bought the tapes to teach me to speak Zulu, but I've still been struggling with it for a long time.
Now, on second, Singh, what is the allocation of judges to do second courts, against a perception, and you can take it that I've heard this perception, that senior judges do not get sent to second court, and or white get sent to second court? Must I disabuse my mind of that perception?
Yes, in our division, I think you must disabuse your mind of that. I like going on circuit, and my JP has asked me, well, where would I like to go on circuit, and I tell him. At least in each session, I like to go on circuit because it helps not come across choosing to go on circuit. There has been a tendency at either Pietermaritzburg or Durban, so that
So the perception is not out of place.
sorry,
The perception that senior judges do not get set to circuit is not misplaced on your testimony now.
no. Senior judges do go on circuit, but not as much as the other judges.
See. Last question.
That's the fourth now.
I was not aware we were restricted to 3.
Well, we agreed that we're going to manage time tightly, and the many questions that we ask, you may ask it, but we agreed to that I'm going to hold tight reins on all of us, and nobody should feel embarrassed when we do that.
No, I'm not feeling embarrassed, Judge President. It takes a lot to cause me to be. Now, the AFT has made this remark, and I see we have been skating around it. One of the remarks they make, and they recommend you incidentally, is that Judge Gianda is an Indian male, the division is headed by a colored male. Is that something we should take into account? If so, why? If not so, why? Why not?
I don't think it matters what race the person is. As I said previously, we are now more than 21 years into our democracy. We shouldn't be concerned about racial quotas. I don't know why they said Indian male and why they referred to the judge president as a colored male. I thought the judge president was more Indian than any Indian male because all his friends are Indians. Well, most of his friends are Indians. Most people regard him as Indian in our community. Race shouldn't play a role in the appointment of anybody.
You are excused, Judge Gianda.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
Good morning, Judge Madondo.
Good morning, Chief Justice and all other commissioners.
For how long have you been a judge of the High Court?
It's for 11 years, including the acting stints. I'm completing the 9th year.
9.
Yes.
And how many years are you left with before retirement?
7 years.
7 years. How have you equipped yourself or prepared yourself for the leadership role you are applying for now?
Well, the first thing I'll say is to apply myself assiduously to my duties as a judge, doing a lot of research, and after that I had also some time where I acted as a senior civil judge, which exposed me to the management level, and the other functions which on regular basis prepare me to be more versatile and more experienced. So far I've seen many things, and I've done even the most difficult cases, which prepare me also to be more knowledgeable, so to be able to give leadership, guidance, and direction in the field.
Well, let me put it. Judge Kian, the next candidate has also been given the opportunity to act as Deputy Judge President. You've never acted in a leadership position, is that correct?
I acted, but not with the title.
No, I meant with a title.
Yes.
They acted with a title, you haven't.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Now, what do you see as President, and how are you going to have to grapple with, and how?
Have to make the justice system, the court system, easily and equally, which is still a challenge at the moment, and to make it benefiting all the citizens, which is also a challenge, to make it user-friendly, understandable, and responsive to the needs of all its users. I have in mind, with the background of experiences. So this can be addressed in the first place by providing a simple process for the resolution of disputes. Because by so doing, intransigencies and problems, and when it comes to it being should be a program which will serve to educate, I think, the public at large about their rights and the remedies, which is a problem. And the other problem is the provision of legal services, where you find the person who does not have the legal knowledge coming to court without being represented. That is a problem more affecting particularly, and that should be sorted out, so to create an access and victims. So there must be some kind of assistance to those people that different. You find that abused children, abused women, disabled people, that information desk that and also courtrooms and other to the people. And also, there must be some kind of accountability and transparency, because it could not only be an access if the people don't know what is happening there. If there are certain reports of the court functions, programs, and all other things people want to know, that will help to create a public confidence and trust. The people will know that the court acts expeditiously. Its judicial functions or decisions are expeditious, reliable, and fair. So all those, even when I come to that it must be responsive, you find that this time the litigants are duty-bound to come to court. Even if they are far away, they have to convene a conference. Means should be provided that conference can be conducted through telephones or videos. That will help the people who are distant away and reduce the cost for them as well. So all these people, they find themselves being equally protected and enjoying the same benefits of law. So those areas, so far, I may proceed to others if I'm allowed to do so.
Very quickly, you talk about taking care of victims. I would want to solicit a quick view from you. In Norway, government has come up with legislation in terms of which a victim of crime immediately gets a legal representative of his or her own, so that as a criminal case proceeds, if there are any damages suffered as a result of that crime, instead of having two separate trials, an effort will be made even in the course of that criminal trial to get whatever damages he or she might otherwise be entitled to. Say things were stolen from him or her, or there are damages suffered as a result of rape or assault or whatever else. What are your quick views on that kind of an approach? Can it work in South Africa?
Well, it can work, even by adding some people who are knowledgeable in certain areas. Not just like, in that case, some psychologists or other people will be able to advise these people who are involved. So some of these people, they have their first encounter in court. So with that kind of assistance, they will be able to see that the justice is for all the people, not for those who can afford to do so.
Yes. Now, accountability. Do you think accountability is an enemy of judicial independence? If not, why?
Well, accountability, in my submission, is not an enemy, but is a friend, in this sense that the judiciary has to be transparent. People must know what is really happening. If they know that what is happening of the public, and that increase also access to courts, because the people will have the trust. So if it is just closed and the users not know what is happening, then there will be a problem. And that's why I say in that respect, it is a friend. Because if you can't dispense justice without accountability, so that everybody must know what we are doing and why we are doing that.
Well, at some stage in your division, there were colleagues. I don't know if the problem still persists. Idea of just they dispose of cases, how they dispose of how long it takes them to dispose of reserved judgments, particularly those that have been reserved for a period long. And
there are those areas which purely pertaining to the exercise of judicial functions, where there should be no interference. But in this case, a judge presiding in a matter must be able to know that the people, they want the outcome as soon as possible, because there's a reason for them bringing this case to here. So to say within 3 months the judgment should be issued is to make justice more accessible and expeditious. If you as a judge failing to meet that, there's a problem, unless you have problems which we have to discuss with the JP or whoever in leadership and say, this is a problem. And the other thing, to put a finger on that, there's a register, which a register in court recording all the events and what happened and so on, and that will be enable whoever in the particular case. Yeah. So if you exceed 3 months, there must be good reason for so doing. You must remember that it is a whole.
How can we still, in the face of it, still deliver justice to the people of KwaZulu-Natal?
Well, faced with such problems, we have to devise means to overcome those problems. We look at ways to deal effectively with the problem. As I've mentioned earlier on, that we see just ways like the simple process of resolving disputes, trying to allocate the work equally and equitable, trying to extend the services, even though it is not an infrastructure, but the services to other areas where the court services needed the most. There are many ways to have pre-trial conferences to resolve a number of cases before they come to trial, and trying to put the delay mechanism in place. In the delay mechanism, we look at the processing time, and discovery time and pleading and so on. You see how the rules, you can make use of the without additional resources. There are many ways, but there are many ways one can engage so to be able to do justice. Because justice must not only be seen to be done, but it must be done as well. It must be an act doing that, even despite. As the management, we have to devise ways and means of taking the justice forward.
And Judge Madondo, where possible, just be direct and answer the question directly where possible, so that if more elaboration is required, there can be an indication from the one putting a question to you. I know some questions require an elaborate answer, but at times you can just be direct. Thank you.
Thank you.
JP?
Thank you, Chief Justice. You say there are many ways. Give us 3 ways that it can be done.
Well, the first one is to reduce the backlog, because the backlog also will need more resources if necessary. The second way is to reduce delay in the dealing with cases, so to expedite the resolution of cases. The other way is to have pre-trial conferences, as I've said earlier on, because in that pre-trial conferences, number of issues are discussed, and some of the cases that are finalized there that will encourage a settlement. The other way is to set a firm and credible trial dates, because by so doing, the parties who are involved, they know if the case is going to proceed as scheduled. Before the trial date, they will have resolved the cases, because they know for sure that is proceeding. So,
can I just interrupt there? You know, I had a meeting with the magistrates here, and one of the problems identified that's responsible for the delays is this. Cases that are known to fall within the jurisdiction of either the regional court or the high court are kept for a very long time at a district court level, like rape, murder, and serious and fraud and so on. And they are then processed by very junior prosecutors who don't even know what is required to ripen these matters for hearing. Is it an option to channel these matters directly to the regional court, to be processed there, to be ripened there for hearing, and ultimately to the high court, obviously subject to amending legislation where this is required? What thoughts do you have there? I know you may not have thought about it.
Yes, Chief Justice. Well, let me start from the High Court side. You find that the cases which are supposed to be at the magistrate court or the regional court, let's say in the civil, find people claiming 300 rand or so in the High Court. Those cases from initiation, they should be sifted and referred to the appropriate forum. Likewise, in the regional court, all those cases, they see that this High Court material, they should be channeled to the High Court as soon as possible, but not to take all the cases to the High Court, even the cases which are triable in the jurisdiction of the regional court. That will help a lot, because as far as civil matters are concerned, we can also have some penalties in the sense that even a person wins the case in the High Court, but be given the magistrate court costs if the case falls within the magistrate jurisdiction.
JP?
Thank you, Chief Justice. 2 last aspects that I'd like to deal with. One, as a deputy judge president, you will be one of the senior judges in the division. And do you requirement of those who are senior in the division to act as mentors for the junior judges? And if you agree, how would you go?
Yes, that is essential and necessary in my submission. There we stand with acting judges, that the acting judges should be allocated to sit with senior judges. So the senior judges to give a backup support with that. Even the junior judges on the bench, we have to promote an open and frequent communication, exchange of ideas, and sharing of information with a view to keeping everyone informed and having a feeling of understanding and inclusion. So in that fashion, we'll able to pull together with all other persons, because we'll know if some people have got some problems, we know where to help. If there's an open communication and exchange of ideas, that should be encouraged.
That would require a degree of building up collegiality amongst the judges. How would you do that?
Well, in the first instance, is to get judges working as a team towards the achievement of a common goal of the division. That should be developed in the first instance by adopting all-inclusive and consultative approach of the colleagues. So in that decision-making process and solution to the problems, if you take all the views, all the opinions and the viewpoints, everybody, that will create a sphere where everybody will feel that that of some equality, because everybody will feel that his or her thoughts are valued. That will have to create a conducive atmosphere for the team spirit to thrive. And we create and strengthen the interpersonal bonds and cultivate a sense of cooperation.
One last aspect which you had raised in one of your answers, the equitable distribution of work. How would you go about achieving that?
Well, the first way of dealing with this, at the initiation where the cases are filed, you see the complex cases, then you look at the case and the experience of the judge can deal with that and understanding of that. You allocate that first to certain judges some time ago so that they'll prepare themselves. And with the rest, you know what the number of judges the number of judges is, and who are the judges you have. When you allocate cases, I have done it at the time when I was acting as a senior civil judge. Then you talk to them that I ask you to do this and that case, can you do it? Another one is do it is available, and you know who has got a heavy load. Then you remove the heavy load to other people, and always there must be a backup judge. If there are so much problems engulfing all other judges, there must be a backup judge who will see to it that the work is done properly and everybody has an equal share. Because at times you find that some people have got light load and others they are bedding throughout. That creates a disgruntlement and problems.
Thank you, Judge Mdondo. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you. Premier?
Thank you very much. In the a judge, there possibly have arisen situations where there have been a vacancy in the post of judge president of the division. Have you ever applied? If not applied for that, why? Is there any particular reason?
Well, I am for the JP position. And afterwards, I applied for the TJP position. It was only, last year or so, when the vacancy of the JP became available or arose, then I did not apply in that one. And I don't know whether the Premier want to know the reason for applying or not applying.
For not applying?
Well, in the last, it was my feeling and opinion of many of us who view things like me, that in order to create a unity in the bench, we have to allow the judge who's presently the JP to proceed to the JP, because we were happy and to be equal to the task. So it was that reason that I did not oppose, because I was.
So how important is unity of the judges in the division with regard to achieving highest effectiveness in the judiciary?
Well,
just judging from what you're saying,
unity is and team spirit, because you can't have a team spirit if there's no unity at all. And
of the division in general, and because I can see from the support you have received, much support from the organized profession and other colleagues. But what about the judges of the division? Thank you, Chief Justice.
well, I've seen support at the time when I was serving as a senior civil judge. I had a lot of support in cooperation. And in this regard, now the judges are not allowed to say a thing about this, whether they support or not supporting you. But generally, I do have a support. And it's across the spectrum.
Commissioner Modise.
Thank you, CJ. Sawubona, Judge.
Yeah, Mama.
Judge, I have two questions, and they relate to what you stated as you were answering item 9 of the questionnaire. Firstly, you say that, and I want to quote you, you say racial and gender representativity have not yet, despite considerable passage of time since 1994, reached fair and equitable levels. However, while striving for optimum levels of representativity on the High Court in our province, this needs to be tempered by the need to maintain and enhance standards of performance and efficiency as well. Would you care to elaborate, please?
Yes. As I've indicated earlier on when I was responding to the Premier Macingwane, that if you create that pool where the people will be given an opportunity to be mentored, to be completely exposed to the demands of the justice, will be able to achieve that competence and efficiency. Is that what I mean?
Okay. I may have understood it differently, not having heard you say that. But you further on state on the subsection that deals with diversity. You say lack of diversity on the bench impacts negatively on public confidence and the legitimacy of the legal system. Diversity is not, however, only characterized by race and gender, but also by culture, religion, ethnicity, and social origin.
Yes.
Please simplify it for me.
Well, I will not deal with the gender because it's there included. Let's say, even in the religion, there are people belonging to various religions. If a person is there representing that sector, that part of the population he or she represents will see that the justice is for all the people. And sexual origin, find people who are homosexuals or disabled, those people also should be accommodated on equal basis like all other citizens. They should not be excluded simply because of that reason. And if you have them, I don't know that I don't say that it willy-nilly, but the circumstances should be created, or the atmosphere should be created to accommodate all kind of person, so that the justice should be seen to be all the people concerned, because it depends on the perception. The public confidence and trust depends on the perception, and the perception, what the people see. That's what I mean to say.
So, Judge, in order to cater for the diversity, and we can take the categories that you make here and break them even further, if I go back to your first response, it means every time we meet up a challenge, in order to ensure that standards of performance and competence are catered for, we must then find these categories within your definition of, or your elaboration of diversity. We must then find and mentor and train these people to the levels. Is my understanding correct?
Well, it's not correct.
Please explain.
In the sense that it's not a rule. It's not a rule, but it's a thing one should think should be in there. And the other thing, you look at the potential, the suitability and the potential of a particular candidate, and that should be included. If those categories are not available, it is not cast on stone that at all times there must be that. But we must strive to open up to other categories as well. That's what I'm saying.
And lastly, CJ, if these categories, diversity, which includes race and gender, if they are not there and you say that the lack of diversity impacts negatively on the public and the legitimacy of the legal system, you are actually saying we have a big problem as South Africa because of the lack of diversity. That is the simplest understanding I have with what you are saying. And therefore, you, as DJP, you probably have been thinking of how you can ensure that legitimacy and the lack of confidence in the legal systems and the justice system is improved, surely.
Yes.
Ke a leboga rra.
Go leboga rona. Professor Ntlema.
Thank you, CJ. Good morning, Judge Madod.
Good morning.
Yes. In your experience as a judge, do you have any experience where your court order has not been implemented by one of the branches? And if not, as a DJP, how would you respond to that in ensuring the credibility of your office if we do appoint you?
Well, firstly, I haven't had such an experience so far. But if I have that experience, then I have to find out the reasons for it not to be implemented and see what problems are there, then we take it from there.
The second question is, earlier on you made so much emphasis on the unity in the division. Should we be very concerned about the division working in silos currently?
Well, not necessarily very concerned, but it's one of the essentialities that if you want to achieve, you must be united. You must work as a team. Because as you are there, we have a goal to achieve, to dispense justice equally to all the people. So, and have justice accessible to all the people. So in order to achieve that goal, you must move as a team. So if we are not moving as a team, then there's a problem. That's where unity comes in as a foundation to that kind of activity.
But this one is not a question, but please look at the case of Williams versus Minister in paragraph 40 and 41. Let's leave it there.
No. You can look at it at your spare time. The commissioner doesn't want you to look at it now. Commissioner Schmidt.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Judge, at previous JC hearings, mention was made of the practice in certain divisions that a list is provided by the judge on a weekly or a monthly basis to the judge president. Does that practice exist in KwaZulu-Natal?
Well, I don't get the question in the first place.
In certain divisions, lists are provided by judges who, after the week or at the month end...
Is it of reserved judgment?
Reserved judgment,
yes.
Yes, certain. Reserved judgments. A list is provided to the JP by the judge of those outstanding judgments. Are you aware of such a practice?
Yes, I'm aware.
Is that practice implemented in KwaZulu-Natal?
Yes, it is.
And does the JP take up those issues which have not been dealt with, or the judgment hasn't been finalized within 3 months, dealt with by the JP and the judge? Discussed with him?
Well, I may not be in a position to know what the JP does with those judgments.
And lastly, in terms of your experience and understanding, what are the most obvious reasons for delays in finalizing judgments by judges in your division?
Well, there's a myriad of reasons, because it depends whether it's a criminal case or a civil case. Well, if we deal with the criminal case, there are a lot of things. You find that trying to secure the witnesses, the prisoners who are, the accused who are in prison are not in court. They find the counsels, more than one counsel in one case, also creates problems, various problems, and all those contribute to the delay. And when it comes to the civil one, you find that the parties are engaged in negotiation settlements, or the matter is adjourned for a particular time, or agents in it here, and they take their time to bring the matter back to court. That's why we have to intervene early and take control of the litigation process. So that there are various problems which I think happen in various courts, not only KwaZulu-Natal.
Judge, my question was more related to the reasons why judges are found to be wanting concerning their outstanding judgments.
Well, the outstanding judgments at times you find that the judges are burdened with a lot of work. We find that there's a shortfall of judges. So they've got a lot of work that continuously. One has to create time to do that.
But why would a judge take a year or 2 years to write the judgment? What could be the cause of that? Or even 5 years? What could be the reason for that?
Chief Justice, I may not be better placed to answer the question because my judgments really exceed 3 months. That's my principle.
Thank you, Commissioner Schmidt. Commissioner Nyambi.
Thank you, CJ. I was well represented.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ntsebeza.
Thank you, CJ. Judge Madondo, just one question, 2 questions. What's your peer experience of allocation of judges to the circuit courts? Is it evenly distributed among judges, junior or senior, black and white, etc.?
Well, I can say it is not to such an extent that at some time when I was serving as a senior civil judge, I raised that question with one of my colleagues who was charged with allocating those judges, those functions, because you find that there are some people who are purely doing civil work, who are not going out on circuit, and there are those people who, at all times, in criminal courts in most of the times. But after that has been raised with the new management, I've seen the change.
Yes. Thank you for that. Further question is, the AFT, which has recommended you incidentally, as it has recommended also Judge Kianda, has made a comment, and I put that comment to Judge Kianda, that Judge Kianda is an Indian male, the division is headed by a colored male. Now, is that something that we should take into consideration as we consider this position? If so, why? If not so, why not?
Well, that may be a difficult question to answer, but I will answer it as follows, that if we want to achieve equal and equitable representation of all sectors of the population, that should also be taken into account in that limited sphere.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Commissioner. You're excused, Judge Madondo.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Can I have water first?
Good morning, Judge Nguni.
Morning, Chief Justice.
For how many years have you been a judge?
Well, I've been a judge since the 1st of January 2009.
And that makes it how many
About
years?
six and a half years. 6 years.
6.5
Yeah.
years. And is it fair to say that you still have a long way to go before you retire?
I suppose so, unless the Almighty decides otherwise.
Well, that won't be retirement. And share your leadership vision for the division with us.
Chief Justice, I've been prior to joining the bench. I was an attorney for almost 15 years. But before that, I worked for legal services at the University of Zululand, where I met the late J.P. Msimang, and after finishing my LLB and doing it at night, of course, because we had to work during the day. I joined his firm at Pietermaritzburg, which is.
I can't hear clearly.
Yes.
If you could speak up a bit and
yes,
speak.
I joined. In fact, he coerced me into joining his firm, which is Msimang Russian company. Then, in 1994, I qualified as an attorney, and we amalgamated with Shepston and Wally Tomlinson in the same firm in Pietermaritzburg, which was obviously a big firm. As the years go by, I became one of the partners in the firm. And obviously, as a partner, you take responsibility in the management position. I became part of the executive committee in the firm, which made sure that the firm is run smoothly at all material times, and that we don't find ourselves at odds with the law society. Yeah. Then the firm changed its name into Tomlinson Nguns James later on, because we were part of the Shepston and Walland families, but we decided to go on our own and change the name to Tomlinson Nguns James. Even at that point, I was still the senior partner in the firm, and also entrusted with a leadership position and being a member of executive committee in the firm. I then, in 2008, well, before that, I was approached by the retired Judge President Shaulala to come and do acting in the High Court, which later on was he requested me to make myself available, which I did, and I then joined the bench.
May I just be of help to myself?
Yeah.
It is. Where do you see yourself taking the division? What are the challenges? What solution are you going to bring?
Yes.
To bring about? That's the leadership vision that I had in mind when I posed the question.
The difficulty that I had when I joined the bench, I found that we, because I was also in the liaison committee of the Pietermaritzburg Law Society, dealing mainly with the High Court matters. I found that we as attorneys and advocates will often complain about the services that we get in High Court. Then, when I joined the bench, the JP Shabalala and Msimang requested me to be part of the committee which will try and resolve the problems that the High Court was facing at the time, or the challenges. Let me say the challenges. And I became, immediately after my appointment, became part of that. And the Chief Justice will realize from the CV that, even though I was one of the junior judges at the time, when the heads of court decided that a committee be formed which will try and see whether they can source acting judges, I became part of that committee, despite the fact that I had only almost a year in the bench. So I've been involved in the leadership since then. I've been, as the Chief Justice would say, I been involved in many committees in the running of the court, which is one of them being the Human Resources Committee, which would deal with people on almost on a daily basis. And with that in mind, I think I have acquired necessary skills to know how the courts should deal with problems or challenges that the High Court finds itself facing.
Chief Justice, can I just come in? Sorry, I know it's not done, but you normally do it very well. I think the candidate is not well settled.
Yes.
Yeah, and if we can't help him to settle, we'll have a problem.
Well, I think my mistake was to assume that because they are experienced judges applying for a leadership position like Gianda and Madondo, he was settled. But I think we should start there. We're not the same.
Yes, thank you.
You acted as Deputy Judge President for how long?
Well, my acting stint started on the 25th of January until it's going to end on the 30th of April.
This year?
This year, yes.
So January last year
this
or this
year?
year?
This year, sorry, this year.
Yes. And were you comfortable playing that leadership role?
Well, more than comfortable, in the sense that, as I said earlier on, I've been involved in the running of the courts, although at limited level. So there was nothing new that in fact I couldn't overcome.
Yes.
So the difficulties, I was aware of the difficulties that we face as a division. So it was much easier for me to step in and try to resolve whatever problems I come across.
Did you participate in the activities of the Provincial Efficiency Enhancement Committee or not? I know it is the primary responsibility of the Judge President.
I had not been, not yet. I was not given that opportunity.
Yes.
Yes.
And in the course of acting for this short period, what problems, for instance, did you pick up that require attention, whether it's an issue of reserve judgments and how to deal with them, whether it is an issue of access to justice in terms of circuit courts and so on, or the proficiency in languages by interpreters. What kind of problems did you pick up that you think
Chief Justice,
require attention going forward? Issues like ensuring that there is proper gender representation and what could be done to ensure that there are more women, not only in the KwaZulu-Natal division of the High Court, but throughout the country. What can be done? How can people be encouraged to prepare themselves at some stage for assimilation into the High Court system? And what sort of challenges, for instance, in the relationships between judges have you picked up, and how do you think they can be addressed? I'm just giving examples that might not apply to KZN, but just to give you an example of problems that might have arisen, that you might have thought about, and how to address them.
See, I'm not sure. The Chief Justice referred earlier on to a provincial efficiency enhancement committee. What I came across when I was acting, in a way, thought to myself that if I look at Section 8, subsection 4C of the Superior Court Act, we don't seem to be doing what that section wants us to do.
Just remind us all what it is about.
Yes, that section deals with gives the judge president responsibilities to coordinate the responsibilities of the judicial functions of all courts, which in this instance specifically also refers to the magistrate courts. I hear the Chief Justice has referred to the Provincial Efficiency Committee, but I haven't come across a committee which deals directly with the office of the Judge President in relation to that section.
If I may be of help, before we even changed the name, Judge President Yapi was in charge of that committee.
Yes.
I know because when I was conducting workshops around the country, still based in Mahikeng, with some American judge on that aspect. He was in charge of it. He has been in charge of it.
Yes.
He's involved in it even at the national level.
Yes.
It brings together all the key role players in the justice system to tackle the challenges that inhibits performance. So that is happening.
Yes, but my concern is that there isn't any committee which deals specifically with issues relating to the relationship between the office of the office of the Judge President and the magistrates.
No, it is that committee that is chaired by the Judge President that deals with those issues. It exists. It has been in existence for years now.
Yes.
Yes.
It's one of the issues. But when it comes to the issue of transformation, I've mentioned earlier on that I've been, since 2010. At some point involved as a member of the committee which deals with the, identifying acting judges. I know the problems insofar as the issue of females is concerned. The problem being that it is difficult to source, especially those females who are busy in private practice because they don't find it attractive to join the bench. But I think we need to have somehow have a committee within ourselves, because also what becomes apparent when the person is acting is that sometimes it doesn't get the necessary assistance. That is one factor which drives them away from coming to the bench to act. And I think we need to have within the structure to have a committee that will assist in alleviating that problem.
Well, how would you deal with it as a leader? Let me tell you what I do at the Constitutional Court. It doesn't matter whether you come from the Supreme.
Okay, we interrupt the proceedings to speak to one of the candidates, Judge Madondo. Judge, thanks very much for joining us. Well, among the first questions you were asked, the challenges facing the South Africa's justice system.
Oh, yes. Well, the first challenge is to make it more easily and equally accessible to all the people, more particularly the poor and disempowered members of the society. So there are many ways that yet to be devised so to reach that destination.
It's an issue, I suppose, which speaks also, as you say, to access to justice, which was an issue that came up even the other day on Tuesday evening when interviews were conducted of the judges who could serve on the Supreme Court of Appeal. And the point that was being made by some of the members of the JSC was that it is easy for the rich and powerful to access justice than it is for the poor.
Well, yes, it is so, but by putting up a simple process for the resolution of disputes, then we make it possible and putting some measures or mechanism to reduce litigation costs, because the costs
makes the system unequal to those who are wealthy and those who are poor. So in order to circumvent all that, we have to devise these means as providing a simple process for judicial disputes, because the simple process, it does not only do justice to individual cases, but across the justice system and the court system as well.
Well, other issues just that also came under the spotlight this morning, the issue of the conditions of our courts, the issue of people not showing up for work, and the issues of resources broadly. Your view on those issues?
Well, there may be such problems, which in any event, in order to be able to perform efficiently, you must have court facilities, good working conditions, and a safe working environment. All those kind of things should be looked into. But one cannot stay away and say, because there are these problems or these conditions, we are not going to do our job. We have to do our job, but in the meantime also seek the way how to improve the conditions.
Transformation was another issue that was raised. Your views on that one?
Well, the transformation is still a need, because if you look from where we are coming from apartheid, which was characterized by the denial of the basic community rights, civil rights. And now we have the supremacy of the Constitution, and also the rule of law is one of the co-foundational values. So in order to work in accordance with the Constitution or constitutionalism dispensation, then they have to be, the justice has to be transformed so to be in line with that. Because if it's not transformed, then the access, those rights would be useless. And access to courts or to justice, that is a foundational and a pillar of a free and equal society. Because that's the only rights by which other rights can be recognized. If there's no access to courts or justice whatsoever, those other rights cannot be recognized, be it civil, political, or social, or economic.
Judge Madondo, thank you very much, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Judge Madondo, of course, one of the candidates being considered for the post of Deputy Judge President of KwaZulu-Natal.
Invite all the legal representatives, including the NPA, to make sure that when you send a judge, for instance, out at Mtuba to do the circuit court, the matter will immediately start on the first day of the circuit. Not that you'll have to wait and say and ask for time to consult and do all those things, because we find that all those things were time consuming. And we implemented this. Unfortunately, the system was not implemented after the JP Msimang passed away, and I believe that it's one of the systems that we have to bring back to make sure that you don't send a judge out unless you know that the judge is going to be working in that circuit.
I thought the JP is implementing judicial case management that facilitates exactly that.
We have, but you see, the problem is when you're leaving it to the individual judges, it becomes a problem because it doesn't get done properly. Some of the judges don't do it properly. That's why I believe we have to do it at a standard level so that you know when you tell the NPA that, look, I'm not giving you a judge unless I'm satisfied that when I send the judge out, the judge will have some work to do at the circuit.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Let me get to the hard questions. The division as such is now obliged to enforce norms and standards.
Yes.
Yes. What can you, as the DJP, do to ensure that the judges comply and stick to the norms and standards?
Yes. I just forgot the article, but I had a look at an article where they're talking about the energy that the Chief Justice is putting on that aspect. And I thought to myself, if you want to have, or you want to assume the position of the DJP, you need to have that energy to make sure that not only at High Court level, because it is also responsibility of the JP to deal with matters relating to the Magistrate Court, to make sure that everything goes smoothly, or to coordinate, as they put it. It is also important to get someone who's going to go down in the trenches and make sure that the work is done at that level.
Well, how would you go about doing that?
You know, in my view, I've already referred to the committee that is in existence. But I honestly think that if you want to have effective, if you want to introduce the effective way of dealing with this aspect, you need to do more. You need to have more, communication with the president of the Magistrate Court, as well as the chief magistrate in the Magistrate Court.
Yes. Well, let's just stick to the High Court for a minute. How do you get on, or how would you describe your relationship with the rest of the judges?
As far as I know, I have no problem with any of the judges, be it a senior or junior judge.
And
division.
As a DJP, to some extent, you would have to lead from the front, as it is often said, and you would have to be a mentor to other judges, particularly junior judges. Do you think you can do that?
JP, I had already, I'm doing that at a level of the participating through the committees that I'm involved in. But in any event, if you as a DJP, you allocate work, and it is difficult for me to accept that you can allocate a file to a judge without knowing, you as a DJP, what is going on in that file, which basically means that for each and every file that comes to you, you've got to at least go through the file and know the complexities involved in that particular file. That it will also ties in with the fact that you also have to know the strengths and weaknesses of the judges that you have.
Yes. Now, of the three candidates that have now applied for the DJP's position, you are the, most junior, if I may put it.
Yeah.
So, do you think that would be a hindrance in the event of you getting the position?
On my side, I don't think so. In fact, if you look at the history, from my history, from right at the outset when I joined the High Court as a judge, I've been involved in the committees that are set out in the questionnaire, and none of the senior or junior judges had objected to that. And if you look at, especially the committee that deals with the appointment of acting judges, is a very crucial committee. But none of the judges objected to that.
The last aspect that I want to deal with is the question of collegiality amongst the judges. What role do you think you can play as far as that is concerned?
Well, I think, the JP will know that when I say we, because when we joined the bench, it was quite a number of us. I think we were about five of us who were appointed during that year, almost at the same time. And, when we arrived at High Court, we found that, the judges had a tendency of, not mingling, and it was if you make a noise, it was a sin. So we then started engaging with them and say, but look, we have to be seen like, as ordinary citizens of this country and behave in the manner that an ordinary human being will behave. We don't have to, all the time have that in mind that you are a judge. So you can't do this, you can't laugh, you can't do just minor things, and that actually worked to such an extent that they at some point, some senior judges will say that if you want to find out, for instance, I'll make an example, Judge Steyn, you've got to try and go out on the corridor and listen to where you hear the noise. Judge Steyn and Judge Mnguni and other judges will be there, because we felt that it is important for us to at a social level to socialize, and we also try to form a social club for the judges, so that we can go out and enjoy ourselves as judges. And yeah.
One last question, and it's a simple one. If you are given the position as a DJP, do you think you can do the job?
Well, judging by what JP have been doing since January this year, I don't foresee any problems in doing the job.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, JP. Premier.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. Firstly, from what you have said, acting from January up to now and a couple of days left in this month, what have you come across that would have prepared you for this position of DJP?
Suprema, I've already said that I've been involved in a number of committees. Some of these matters that you come across in those committees, and it takes you time to come up with solutions. It is much easier when we are in the management to make sure that you have those matters resolved. Let me just give you an example, Suprema. We have a problem with the issue of interpreters. I also happen to sit in that committee. My problem is that when you want an interpreter, they will tell you that they will advertise the post at level 5, which becomes a problem for us as a High Court, because it will then mean that you will have to get an interpreter without any experience. Anyone can apply. Because in High Court, at that level of the High Court, you don't need a person who's still going to teach how to do the job. You need someone who's going to fit in and do the job straight away. And I mentioned that to Dr. Moshe, that we have a problem. We've got to try and see whether you at least you don't put the interpreters at level 7. And I'm sure they're still working on that. That's one example, because I believe if you have someone from the street, it definitely will compromise the justice system and the fairness of the trial, especially to someone who doesn't know the language.
Second question, as a judge, what has tried you? What has tested you in the past, from 2009 to now? Things that you really, really feel that have tested you and have tried you.
Yes. And
you have been told that, look, these have tried you and you believe, and these have tested you and you believe in it.
I think what I find it difficult is that we don't seem to go out of, the office does not seem to go out of itself to the peripherals,
If you could speak up, please, Judge Mnguni.
Okay.
I couldn't.
Okay. We don't seem to go out, to come out of this office and go to the peripheries of life in order to meet the marginalized and the previously excluded in the system.
No, fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. That is what you don't do, as far as
Yes.
you. But I'm just talking about you. From 2009, since
You
you
mean
were
the
appointed as a
challenges,
judge, no, you, not as judges, you in particular. What do you believe has tested you and tried? I'm saying from an ordinary point of view,
Yeah.
from being a youngster up to now, I always, you have a particular understanding of judges.
Judges, yes.
It entails some imagination of having been tried and tested. Now, I want this thing from you. What is it that you believe has tried you and has tested you? In other words, in a way, preparing you for what you have applied for, to be specific.
Well, basically, it's a journey that I went through when in my education, because I, unfortunately, when I finished my matric, I didn't have money to go to the university. And out of the blue, I was helped by a family, a Hlongwane family, which put me through to the university for 3 years. And that is why in my CV I mentioned that, I also worked for them as in the hardware shop as a manager. So those are the difficulties that we faced in our life. But also coming to the bench, it's a bit different from having your own company, where you associate with yourselves with people who are like-minded. You come across people who you have never met before, but you expected to work with them. And at the end of the day, you have to find a way and a solution of how do you deal with those personalities, because they're different personalities. We've never come across them before.
All right. My third question is, when you responded to the question of committees,
yes,
I got an impression that you are not aware of the committee that is chaired by Judge President that addresses exactly what you were concerned about. And I didn't seem to, even when the Chief Justice was following up on that question, I didn't seem to find the reason why you don't seem to have been aware of that particular committee.
No, I'm aware of the committee, but I believe, that's what I believe, it doesn't deal with the pertinent issues relating to the courts, the relationship between the court, the office of the Judge President and the offices of the magistrate, be it the president of the magistrate or the chief magistrate or the district court.
So the committee is there. It's just that there is an omission on a particular task.
On a particular task. That's why I have a problem.
Okay. The next question is, other than what you indicate in your CV as leadership role,
yes,
in committees, you're now acting as a DJP. What other leadership role have you played in society? Just from outside of your current,
yes.
Yeah.
As Prima will see, I'm also a member of St. Vincent de Paul Society, which is actively involved in helping the indigent people with other legal advice or with any other thing that we can help with. Yeah.
Sorry, Judge Mnguni, I couldn't hear. You are also a member of
this.
If you could shift the mic like this, because you speak from this side. No, just tilt it.
Okay.
So that it can capture your voice.
Yes. So I'm saying, Chief Justice, that I'm a member of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, which tries and help the indigent people in the church. Yeah.
Okay. The last question is, how would you enhance the integrity of the division if you get appointed integrity, the standing.
Yes. You see, that's precisely why I said earlier on I have a problem with that committee, because I don't believe there's enough interaction between the heads of court. When I say the heads, I'm talking about the chief magistrate, the president of the regional courts, and the JP. It is important when the Premier delivers his speech, on the 26th of February. He mentioned that the people have, lost trust in the judiciary system or criminal justice system. Those are the words that you use. That's precisely why I believe we have to go out and do more to restore that relationship, because people must believe that the courts are there to help them to resolve their differences. Once you lose that trust, obviously you're working on an empty shell.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
But isn't it your experience that sometimes even leaders, when they say the judiciary, they mean even the police, and the prosecuting authority? We are just one thing. Is that not your experience?
Well, it's true to a certain degree.
Yes.
But Chief Justice, I think that's why we have to try, because I think we're now in the new era of which came into being because of the fact that we have a separate office of the Chief Justice. We have to try, go an extra mile to defend our integrity as the office of the Chief Justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, resolutions were taken. Just talk to the JP after this on Saturday already about how we'll deal with that, even this fraud that is taking place in relation to court orders and so on. So you'll see more. Commissioner Fori?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Some of which I wanted to canvass with you has already been dealt with, Judge. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Just your professional career, I just want to make sure that I understand. You've been an attorney for 14 years.
Yes, about 14 to 15.
And you were a director of a big firm in Pietermaritzburg and on the executive committee of that firm. And then you became a judge on the 1st of January 2009.
Yes, sir.
So you've been a judge for just in excess of 7 years.
Yes.
Where does that put you in the seniority levels of your division?
It's difficult for me to say, but I didn't check the because we have a system where you can easily check and tell that your number so and so. Unfortunately, I didn't check that, but I can assure you that.
Are you more or less in the middle, or are you?
I think I'm just above the middle. Yeah. Just above.
You've already said in answer to a question by the Judge President that you don't see that as a problem.
No.
To fulfill your duties.
No, I don't see it as a problem. Yeah.
I won't canvass that further. I just want to canvass one further aspect with you. You've been on 4 committees since you've been appointed as a judge, and you're still on those committees.
Yeah.
One of which is the appointment of acting judges.
Yes.
Can you just tell me, what does that committee do?
It's the work that...
I know what the committee says, but how do you go about it? To appoint acting judges?
We come together and see. Firstly, you try and deal with, depending in which direction you want to go. If you want to go to the advocates, because you must also remember we have limited spaces for acting judges. You don't get so probably between a session. So you've got to decide exactly, having looked at the role that you have, how heavy it is. You've got to decide what sort of person you want to help you in respect of that.
Perhaps I can narrow.
Yes, I think it's better if you. Yeah.
One of the previous candidates that we interviewed this morning said there's a particular challenge to get women to act in KZN, and despite appeals and requests to many organizations, it remains a challenge. Do you agree with that, one? And two, if so, what does your committee do to effectively deal with that?
Partially I do, but you see, the problem is, as a committee, we always had to dig deep to get the people that we want to be appointed as acting judges. I'll make an example. When we came in January 2009, we only had one African female judge. It was Judge Mkuhlwa. We only had one, but within a space of about 2-3 years, we managed to get at least 4 female judges. So that tells you that you've got to dig deep and have, because you have this in the interest of justice. You want to transform the bench. You have to dig deep and try to go out and find those.
And do you find them as a committee?
You do, if you dig deep. You do. I know it's a challenge, but if you go an extra mile, you do get them.
And are you satisfied that your committee does everything in its power to achieve that?
Yes, I'm satisfied that we're doing it. I know it is enough to attract the top, let me put it that way, the top female advocates to join us because of the money that they make. But within those challenges, we're able to find competent people to fill in the positions.
Thanks. I would have liked to ask more questions, but I think I've reached my limit, Chief Justice.
There are others. There are others, Commissioner. Commissioner Helens.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Judge, I want you to imagine that your JP is away, say, on long leave, and now you're running the division.
Yeah.
And you've got a judge that's had, say, 8 judgments over 3 months, which have been reserved, and some of them are 5, 6, 7 months. One's a year. There have been complaints from the attorneys, which have been directed to you. What would you do?
You see, there are 2 ways of dealing with that. The first one is to approach the judge and find out exactly what the problems are relating to that particular judge not delivering the judgment. But also, you have to, as a manager, you have to bear in mind that you have a responsibility to try and help that particular judge.
Yes, but so what do you do?
What you do, you try and find out exactly what is the problem. If he tells you what the problem is, you try and assist, and if it is within the session, you try and see whether you can depending on the agency of those judgments, see whether you can get 1 or 2 days for him to do that judgment and report to you within those days that he has done the judgments that are outstanding.
But on the scenario I'm painting to you, he hasn't come to you or to the JP to say, look, I've got these problems which are preventing me from delivering justice within a reasonable time. You're going to him and asking him, why have you not delivered justice within a reasonable time? Do you take such a soft approach, say, Judge, what's holding up the judgment? Can anything hold up a judgment, barring illness, death, something tragic? Can anything hold up a judgment as long as that? And is such a soft approach, I'm suggesting to you it's a soft approach, appropriate?
I don't think so, because, as I said, you have a responsibility as a manager to find out exactly what is going wrong in that particular judge, and also you have the mechanisms to report the judge to the JSC.
Well, that's why I'm asking you. What would you do?
That's why I said I would firstly investigate why has it taken such a long time for that particular judge to deliver the judgment, and if I'm not satisfied, because there might be a reason. Let me throw this to you. If, for instance, there is an aspect on which he has invited counsel to address him further on. You just can't report that as long as that was done timelessly, and the council are aware that they have to arrange a time to deal with that issue which the judge has raised. Because sometimes the issue, when you start writing a judgment, the issue crops up, and the issue which hasn't been addressed during argument, and you are bound to, before deciding, to give opportunity to the judge, give opportunity to counsel to deal with that issue. But other than that, the only way that you can deal with, because of norms and standards, you have to report the judge. Simple as that.
No, but it's not after 3 months that you report.
It's after 6 months. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Helens. Commissioner Ntsebeza.
Thank you, Chief Justice. 2 questions, Judge. The first one is, what is your view about the allocation of judges to the second circuit court?
Yes.
In terms of seniority of judges, demographics, etc., etc.
Yes.
It's a question I've put to the other judges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I believe that each and every one of us should do a circuit court. I know that as a judge president and deputy judge president, it will be difficult for you to go on circuit. But ideally, because if you keep on sending the same people, let me make an example, African judges to Matateni, for instance, you're creating an impression that that particular court is only good for African judges. You see, so you've got to get everyone to participate in the process, because we're trying to build the new society. Yeah.
Now, second question. Thank you, Judge. Second question came from the KZN Bar Council, which includes the AFT, and I've been putting it to the other judges on the basis that the AFT has made that comment. And they have been supportive of all of you 3 judges who have made yourselves available for this position.
Yes.
There is a remark that has been made by that KZN Bar Council, and it is to this effect. Judge Gyanda is an Indian male. The division is headed by a colored male. Now, is this something that we should take into account? If so, why? If not so, why not?
I believe so. Because it ties in with the answer I gave earlier on, that when you keep sending particular judges, of African judges, for instance, to a circuit court, you're creating an impression that the court, that court is only good for those judges. In the same way that if you don't involve African people in the administration of the courts, you obviously will create that impression that they are not good enough to administer the big offices like the High Court.
Thank you, Judge President.
Thank you, Professor. No. It's Commissioner Nyambi.
Thank you. I'll link it with the last question. In a situation where you have a white candidate and an African one, and the white one is exceptionally good in terms of performance, interview, and the CV, how can you deal with that situation, if you can advise us?
But invariably, you don't have to look at that only. You have to look at other factors which might persuade you into taking that decision as to who to appoint in that position, because that's what the Constitution demands of us. Yeah.
This,
which in fact you look at the racial composition, the gender issues. All those issues speaks to you as they come directly from the Constitution.
No, I'm very specific.
Yes.
I'm saying we're in a situation we have 2.
Yes.
The white one and the black one.
Yes.
qualifications are almost the same, but the performance, the African one, it's below the expectations. How can we deal with that?
When you say below the par, because if it is below the par,
Yeah.
I don't think we should appoint a person, because at the end of the day, it is the integrity of the judiciary which is at stake. But if his performance is fine, except that he has some certain limitations, you then resort to the constitution.
I'm interested in unity in the division.
Yes.
Have you had some discussions with other candidates before coming here about this process?
No, I didn't have. We mean in what way? As to whether they try to persuade me to support me in the appointment.
It's a specific question. Have you discussed the possibility of any outcomes of this process with the other candidate, because we are from the same division?
Or you mean your candidate? We have, in fact, we always joke about it, even in tea, that whoever wins, that the best person win. It's simple as that. Not with the idea of trying to solicit support from any other person.
The last one, share with us your understanding of judicial accountability.
See, that's exactly what I spoke about earlier on. That if as judges of the division, we have the norms and standard which we have to try and comply with. If you look at the norms and standards, they speak to the accountability and independence of the judiciary. So you've got to try and stick to that.
Thank you, CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Nyambi. Commissioner Malema.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
My first question this morning is about this environment here.
Yes.
How do you find it? Is it intimidating? Is it friendly?
Well, it did initially until we intervened.
I'm worried I haven't seen an improvement even after my intervention.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is wrong, Judge?
No, there's nothing wrong with Mr. Malema.
So you find these cameras, the public, the judges here, everyone else, so welcoming. Is this conducive for you to give us the best of you in this interview?
It's in a way it does intimidate you, because you're facing about 23 people. It does intimidate you, and more so when you see cameras. It's.
On a lighter note, wait until they interview you for the position of Chief Justice.
Well, why would a judge who's applying for, and I will ask for the indulgence of the Chief Justice, because the other two judges, we didn't spend much time on them because we spoke to them before. But yes, you are coming here, especially for this position for the first time. Why would a judge who's applying for a position of leadership get so easily intimidated like that? Because you're going to have to preside over senior judges.
Yes.
Some of them you looked up to them. Some of them you admired them. Some are junior and all and you have to show leadership at all times, at all material times. When you are a leader, you must show leadership.
That is quite correct, but you must also bear in mind that you come to an environment which you're not familiar with. So there's always going to have, we have that, it's always going to test you, irrespective of how confident you are.
Now, I want you to just be specific in the KwaZulu-Natal division.
Yeah.
What are the challenges?
I've already mentioned one challenge that we don't, as an office, we don't seem to go out to the people and and make sure that service delivery is taking place.
No, I'm not talking about those things. So going to the people is our responsibility as politicians.
Yeah.
You as a DJP, what are the challenges in the courts? Some person was saying here toilets are not working, and other people were giving themselves an opportunity to go and fix toilets there. Now, what are the challenges? The aircons are not working, windows are not opening, the cleaners don't clean the courts, the judges don't give judgments in time. What? And the Chief Justice tried to ask you that question, and you keep on giving, not so satisfying answer. We want to know about the court. We are not in Natal. I come from the rural province of Limpopo. So I want you to give us the picture of what are the problems in KwaZulu-Natal.
No, indeed, we have challenges, for instance, with the court, cleaning of the court and all those. But, having said that, well, I don't think they will hinder you as a judge in performing your function. To a limited degree, they may, but if you're serious about your work, I don't see why I should not sit in court when the air conditioner is not working. For instance, I had an occasion of us using the Durban Magistrate Court because we didn't have enough space. As we had a problem, we were sitting on the 9th floor, and the court orderlies refused to bring the accused up to us in the 9th floor. We wanted to do the work. We came up with a plan that, look, you have enough police officers here. Fortunately, most of the witnesses were police officers. This is what we're going to do. I said to them, please, gentlemen, can you assist us? Because we want to finish the matter. That 2 of you walk in front of the accused using the stairs, and obviously you have to give your firearms to the people at the back. And the two people at the back take the 4 of you take the accused to the court so that we can deal with the court. So those are things that really, even though they have an impact on the justice system, but they can't prevent you as a judge from sitting and doing the case.
When I took this platform, I said to a colleague of mine, I want to help you, but you can't help yourself. I'm not. You're answering a question I'm not asking.
Yes.
I'm asking, Judge, what are the challenges? For a moment, just leave yourself.
Yeah.
And give us the challenges of KwaZulu-Natal division. What I didn't say the aircons are not working. I was giving an example, or maybe that may be one of the challenges. So I'm just saying, just give us. Okay, let's simplify it. Can you give us 6 challenges in KwaZulu-Natal division?
Yeah. The first one is that we have lost 1 female judge to the Limpopo province. We have to try and get a person to replace her. Unfortunately, it seems that we're not increasing the number of the African judges in the bench. We seem to be keep on replacing the African judges with African judges. So the number is not increasing. I say this because in September, an African judge retired. We've got to try and get, because if we get someone else, the numbers of the African judges on the bench will be reduced automatically. So those are the things. I think we have to go an extra mile, see whether we can get judges, African judges, especially females, to our bench.
Judge, I was going to ask you your vision. You can't give me a vision if you don't know challenges. Now, the last question is, your inability to speak to questions here and the fact that you continue to appear like you are unsettled and all those type of things, does that have to do with your seniority? Does it come as a result of your inexperience and your associate junior that you are unable to come across as a person who's readily available to take leadership in that institution?
I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not true. So administration is a totally different ball game. Yeah.
So what is the disadvantage of appointing what is the advantage of appointing a junior judge? I mean, we dealt with 2 senior judges before you.
Yeah.
What advantage do we have in appointing you? You know, I'm not in the legal fraternity, but you know very well that in the legal fraternity, seniority and all those issues matters a lot. How do you even want to compete with your seniors like that? Because normally these people are given some form of respect, and if they come before you, you're always like, let's give them chance. They are left with 7 years, they are left with 8 years. In 8 years' time, I will be more prepared to take over leadership. Unless you're saying you're bringing something exceptional, which we can't find in these 2 senior judges which came before you. I mean, do you think you can be Obama of that KwaZulu-Natal division?
You see, that's precisely what I was trying to say, that if you have, the advantage that I have is that I'm younger, I still have a long way to go. And whatever vision, because we have, with the judge president, we must have a shared vision. I still have the JP will live, and I still have to carry that vision forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Malema. Commissioner Singh.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. I just want to follow on that last question of Commissioner Malema. And I note, Judge, good day to you, that you've been nominated by the Center for Legal Services and the Black Lawyers Association. And the Black Lawyers Association make a point of saying he has matured as a judge despite his relatively young age.
Yes.
Now, I just want to follow up on what Commissioner Malema said. Do you think this age factor is a plus for you? It's a negative for you, given that, if you are appointed, you've got to hit the road running. There's no time for a learning curve and so on and so forth. So that's the first question.
That's why precisely, I really think because of my involvement with the workings of the court right from the outset, I am well equipped to take over and run the division in the event of the JP deciding to retire. Because I know exactly what is going, what challenges we're facing, how to deal with them.
Okay, and then my last question, Chief Justice, through you. When I look at your references, I note that one of your referees is Dr. Donald Mkwanazi, who I know quite well. He's a businessman. What would be the reason for Dr. Mkwanazi to be a referee for you?
Because, both of them with the late Judge Msimang, they shared one vision, and one vision only, let's say, black excellency.
But here there's Dr. Mkwanazi now. I mean, what is his link with you? Do you have any links with him? Have you had, have you acted for him? Or
no, I've never acted for him.
But he is one of your referees, and I suppose with referees, you ask them to be your referees. They don't just come up.
Yeah, because because if you ask him, he'll give.
Started coming from the camel perde, which is the giraffe, because the giraffes they feed too much on these trees. So this camel thorn tree.
I just have 2 questions, really. I could understand. I could see that when you asked about the PEECs, and the fact that your JP is actually participating, you were rather shocked. You were not sure. You are not sure that your JP is actually in that structure.
No. I'm sure that he's in that structure. That's why I made a distinction. I said, to me, that structure doesn't deal with pertinent issues relating to the relationship between the office of the JP and the heads of court, be it the president of the regional court or the chief magistrate here.
I'm sorry, Judge. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. The Chief Justice it was the Chief Justice who actually said to you, no, your Chief. It is the Chief Justice who draw your attention about the presence. No, otherwise, you are not sure.
No. I mentioned specifically that I am aware that there is that committee, but I don't think that in the relationship that we intend to have, with as set out in the superior courts, it's achieving the purpose. That's what I said.
Okay, no problem. And then, what is the PECs? I further heard you saying that, well, there's a need for a committee where the heads of court, the president of regional courts and chief magistrate must be present. Am I right? You said other than the PECs, you need a structure where the president of the regional court and the chief magistrate must be present.
Yes. You see, that structure is very important. You must bear in mind that, one of the challenges that we have is that it is difficult for us to get female judges on board. And you'll find that in regional courts, you've got quite a number of female presiding officers, judicial officers, who, if you have that relationship, it might be much easier for you to get assistance from the president of that court.
Yeah. My point exactly, because in the PECs, which is an emphasis, the presidents of regional courts, chief magistrates, head of arrest division, judge president, they sit in that structure. So the structure that you propose, I do not know, but whether you know exactly the PECs.
No, I know. I know. You see, the problem that's the structure we have right now is that it involves all the stakeholders. I'm saying at a level of where you would want to source judges from the regional courts, from the district court, you need to have a constant communication with the judge, the president of the regional courts, and the chief magistrate of magistrate courts.
Yeah. What do you understand of the assignment of duties by the judge president to the deputy in terms of the Act? Thank you.
Well, insofar as relating to the functions that the judge president does, automatically you have to deal with the issues that the JP will have to assign you to do, but also you are placed in a position where you personally have to go out with the assistance of the JP and try to identify people that you would want to bring on board to act, because you're part of the committee that appoints acting judges.
Commissioner Mutimele.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge.
Morning.
The National Efficiency and Enhancement Committee, it's a very important transformative structure put in place compared to the old heads of courts meeting. Now, in order to make sure that it achieves what it sets out to achieve and addresses the evil that it is intended to address, how would you propose that its minutes, the decision taken there, are shared with the division and also afford the division the opportunity to fit in through the JP and interrogate what is discussed there?
Yes, it's a very key committee. That's why I say, if you make a decision in that committee, you've got to be able to disseminate that whatever information that committee deals with to the judges, so that, because we must understand here that we're looking at having, a single judiciary. You can't have a situation where people speak with both ends of their mouth. We must speak to the, about the single judiciary, which will deal with the problem in that fashion. And that's why it is important that there is a constant communication between that committees and the divisions, as well as the magistracy.
Simply put, does the JP share the minutes of that committee with the judges in the division and ask for their views?
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Mutimele. Commissioner Modise.
Thank you, CJ. I don't know if it is afternoon, Judge, but good day, sir.
Good day.
It's noon. Just one question. You, earlier on responding to the first set of questions put to you, you you conveyed a sense of unease. You said that you need to behave like ordinary people of the country.
Yes.
You also said that you feel you don't get the opportunity to go to the periphery.
Yes.
Now that worries me because I don't understand what you mean by going to the periphery. You also said you do not socialize, and therefore, there's a need for you as judges to socialize. Now, one of your colleagues earlier on did say that on certain days you come together, you have tea together,
yes.
You then meet as judges and you share information.
Yes.
Is that the socializing that you are referring to?
No. We had a committee, a social club as judges where we'll, for instance, try and arrange lunch at a certain restaurant, or we'll all go there and have lunch and together as judges. Yeah.
You see, my unease comes to maybe being a lay person looking at the judiciary. You expect them to behave in a certain manner.
Yes.
You do not expect, for instance, to see Judge Egigin.
Yeah.
You do not expect to see judge so open and in socializing in such a manner that they can be lobbied.
No, that is definitely.
So if ungayicacisa nje, what is the socializing that you want as a judge?
Well, we as judges, we socialize and share ideas about our work. Not that we go to the nightclubs and we don't do that. I mean, I didn't mean to say that. Unfortunately, if that seemed to be what I was conveying, I'm sorry about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson. Commissioner Didiza.
Sawubona mahluleli wendlu yenkulu enkantolo yomthetho yaKwaZulu Natal babemnguni.
Yebo sanibona.
Usaphila.
Ngiyaphila.
Ngikubingelela ngesiZulu ngoba ngiyabona la ukuthi cha kuthwa ngokwezolimi ngokusho kweBLA you are on point.
Yeah.
I read the recommendation from BLA and on the interpretation committee which you are part of,
yes,
they say you make sure that, or rather, the committee deals with ensuring that the language service are on point.
Yes. Yeah.
And as you know that language development, particularly isiZulu and some of the African languages, have not been at a speed at which we want to,
yes,
and at times we use what we call amabizo mfagelwa, which are taken from the English language or Afrikaans in particular. And at times, translating technical terms becomes difficult.
Yes.
What has your committee been doing such that BLA can say you are on point, to ensure that some of these challenges that emanate from translation, as it does at times, are dealt with? And also, how would you ensure that some of the people whose mother tongue may not necessarily be isiZulu or mother tongue not being Afrikaans will be able to be helped, particularly when they preside, to also on their own be able to have this on point proficiency when it comes to language?
The reason why that committee was set up is because of, as I said earlier on, that we had a problem because when the post of language practitioners are advertised, they seem to attract, or they advertise at a level of level 5, which becomes a problem, because in that way you're likely to attract people who have no experience from interpreting, because that's, in essence, that's what the court wants from whoever is interpreting before. So we then decided that, look, because if we don't get people who would be helpful to the court. We're going to compromise the justice system. So let's have this committee, which will, when the post becomes available, we have certain requirements that we would want those people to meet before they can be recommended to assist in interpreting in High Court. But of course, there are challenges because of the staff shortages. Sometimes you'll get, people or interpreters or language practitioners, as they are called these days, on contract basis, which becomes a problem. Because I personally believe that interpreting is a profession. So you need to have suitably qualified people, in the profession, so that they can also take pride of the profession that they are in. And the problem that we then put the committee in place to make sure that we comply with whatever we set out, the comments that we set out, that will help us in identifying the correct people for the position.
As an example, what would be the criteria?
For instance, the first thing that will do, you want a person to write an essay. You give them a topic and you write an essay, then they will write an essay. That will help you to determine whether, depending which interpreter you're looking for. It's obvious it's difficult when we're dealing with the, so to speaking, interpreters, and then you look at the performance, you compare, before you invite them for the interviews. At least you know the language or the difficulties that each candidate is likely to face.
Through you, the last question, Judge. Will that essay be a legal essay, if I may call it that way?
Yes, it will deal with certain legal issues that are common to all courts. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is that the follow-up, Commissioner Malema?
No, Chief Justice, I'm worried, and I want to give the judge an opportunity to explain his relationship with Mukwanas, because he didn't explain it. How do you say this man can speak very well about you, but you don't tell us how you relate with him? Do you do business with him? Did he teach you? How do you know him?
I said earlier on, they helped me when I was studying. It's part of the IR.
He paid for your fees?
Not paid for my fees.
How did he help you?
But a person doesn't have to pay for your fees to help you with motivation, because he looks for black excellency. That's how we will encourage you. That look, you've got to make sure that you don't, for you to obtain an LLB, it's not the end of it. You have to go try and do more.
But how did he do that?
By encouraging me, Mr. Malema.
But Chief Justice, maybe through you, maybe if you ask the judge a question, he will answer. How did he encourage you? Did he meet you at a motivational talk or what? I mean, what is your relationship? A judge must be able to define. What is your relationship with this businessman?
I don't have any relationship, except that he is one of my mentors.
He mentored you?
Yes.
You worked with him?
No, I didn't work with him.
How did he mentor you? How did he mentor you? Did you go to class? Did you go to his house? No. Where have you met him?
I said, the three of them. It's Longwane, Msimang, and him, who mentored me with and encouraged me to do what I'm doing now.
How did Mukwanas mentor you?
I don't know. I've tried to explain.
I would have failed in my constitutional duty to have a judge who can explain how a businessman in your upbringing helped you. I got mentored by a lot of people,
yes,
including Peter Mukaba.
Yes.
I sat with him,
yes,
in a lot of meetings.
Yes.
I socialized with him.
Yes.
I sat one-to-one with him.
Yes.
So have you had one-on-one with this Mukwanas?
A number of times I had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you visited him in his house?
No, he will come to, but unfortunately, his one of his sons is in Hilton College, so that's how he will. If you come past and we talk about, yeah.
Judge, do you have any business relationship?
No,
with
I don't have. I've said I don't have. I honestly, in the same way that I've mentioned Mr. Mvili there, who works for the security.
No, don't divert me. I'm on this one. I'm on Mkhwanazi. I'm not interested. You see here you have mentioned magistrate court. It's reasonable,
Yes.
It's understandable.
Yes.
You have mentioned legal advice. The problem is Donald Mkhwanazi. When a person mentors you, especially in the legal fraternity, you either go and work in their office, they take you under their wing, they do all sorts of things. But this relationship is not clearly defined. Whether Dr. Mkhwanazi came to the college or you saw him many at times when he was visiting the son or anything of that sort.
You see, he's one of the, let me say this to you. It's, for instance, when I was at university, they will come and address us that, look, this is, explain to us the position in the country and try to encourage us. In the same way that the Deputy Chief Justice will come and address us and try to point out a certain path to us.
But I speak to a lot of people.
Yes.
In the biggest rally I addressed was in the FNB Stadium.
Yeah.
And somebody get inspired there by me and puts me in the reference. I've never met that person.
No, I'm not saying...
And then that person says to me, Chief Justice, Julius Malema will speak very well of me because he addressed us when he was coming to motivate us.
No, but he knows, I said earlier on, he knows my upbringing.
He knows you?
Yes, where I come from.
Is there any financial relationship between you and him?
I said that a long time ago, that he knows, my upbringing.
No, the answer is not clear. I'm not happy. I'm not a happy judge.
Commissioner Malema, I think we must leave it there.
We shouldn't, Chief. Okay.
No, you've made
I
your
will
point.
deliberate.
You keep on giving you the same answer. I think deliberations is the first place. Yeah. Yes. You are excused, sir. You are excused.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes. Commissioners, I think we must deal with the candidates for judgeship. We'll deliberate after interviewing all the candidates. Please, we will break at say 1 o'clock. Go for lunch. Come back. Continue where we left off. Thank you. Good afternoon, Advocate Bezuidenhout.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
Yes, for how long have you been an advocate before? Were you an advocate, a junior advocate before you became a senior?
About 21 years.
Before you became a senior?
Yes.
And for how long have you been a senior counsel?
7 years.
7 years. And all in all, for how long have you acted in the High Court?
Approximately 56 weeks.
Yes. Very briefly tell us why it should be you this time around. Just brag a little bit. Or as much as you can.
I think I've obtained a lot of experience, right, basically as a practicing advocate and as an acting judge, that I've covered a wide field of the work that will arise in the KwaZulu-Natal division. I think I've worked hard, which I think is the norm that I normally do, both in practice and as I did as an acting judge. I've tried to, in each session, complete my judgments. If there is one that stood over, it was because it was at the end of a recess.
And for how long would it stand over?
The longest that I have had was 6 weeks. And in all the judgments that I've given, in all the times that I've acted since 2012, I've had 2 that have gone on appeal. Both have not been finalized. The one, I know the one full court was heard during February this year, but I do not know if a judgment has been handed down yet. And I think I've tried to apply the law fairly, to try and treat everybody equal, and that I've also enjoyed doing it. I found it a very satisfying position to fill.
Thank you. JP?
Thank you, Chief Justice. It's quite obvious you have acted for, you say, 56 weeks. You are familiar with the division.
Yes.
You are familiar with the workload and the requirements.
Yes.
What would you say are the main challenges that the judges in KwaZulu-Natal face?
I think one of the main challenges is, especially in Pietermaritzburg, is the workload. There is, with the appeals that have to be done, the full court and the full bench appeals, it's a heavy workload, but it's an enjoyable workload. And then there's maybe a little bit of administrative things that it's not always all the administrative factors of maybe sometimes there's a bit of a problem with obtaining certain documents and stuff that you may need that from the registrar's office. Those are difficulties that I found.
And do you think you're up to the challenge of what is required of a High Court judge?
Yes, I do. I think I am up to it. And I hope that the times that I've acted has shown, too, that I have been able to cope with everything that was given to me to do.
It's quite obvious you are a white Afrikaner male.
Yes.
Do you think your appointment would get in the way or impede transformation of the bench?
I don't think it would to any great extent. There is, if one looks at KwaZN, there is, if my recollection is correct, there is 6 white male judges in the division. So percentage-wise, I don't think it would affect it to such a great extent. I also think that the transformation of the bench also, to an extent, depends on your attitude on the bench, applying the Constitution, trying to assist everybody as much as you can, and that you can also assist transformation in that regard.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, JP. Premier?
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. The first question is how do you think, if you get appointed as a judge, will you enhance the efficiencies of the division in the province?
I think it would be enhanced by the fact that I work hard. I will make sure that as much of the work as possible that will be done as quick as possible, that there shouldn't be backlogs, And in that way, it would enhance the efficiency of the courts, and one could also assist where one can any other of the judges to try and see if one can assist to make sure that work gets done on a quicker basis.
But how will you do that in a province where there's already a shortage of judges in relation to
Yes,
the
there is
workload?
indeed, but you can take on a greater workload and you can assist where, for instance, your cases on a certain day do not proceed. You could always go and take work from somebody else, which I have done, and assist in that way to make sure that those cases, at least then, that may not have also been finalized on that, they will indeed be finalized.
The second question is, how do you think your appointment will make the majority of the people in the province feel comfortable with you when you preside over a matter anywhere in the province?
I think is that I have support from many of the people in the profession. I also have support from many people outside the profession, that I'm known to be fair, to be humble, that I treat everybody equally, and I think that to an extent was shown by the letter that I was given by the BLA, where they clearly set out that I have tried to assist in my practice indigenous people as much as I could, but money was not the main factor always, and that I'm acceptable, I think, to the majority of the people.
If that is the case, how have you earned this reputation that you are talking about?
I think it's been basically just on my whole attitude of life that everybody must be treated the same. Everybody is equal. Everybody needs to be treated with the same respect, irrespective of where you come from. That's been my philosophy in life that I've applied all the time. And I think it's through helping as well, when I could, when there's anybody that was indigent and I was approached, I was always prepared to help. I was always prepared to help my colleagues, junior advocates, people attending the bar, pupil members, as much as I could. By even if there were young people commencing, having to draft papers, they would bring me their papers. I would help them finalize the papers, make sure that they've done. So in that way, I've tried to contribute as much as I can. And I think that way we've all built up a relationship.
What's your assessment of accessibility of justice to the majority of the people, quite a significant number coming from rural areas, poor, and so on? What's your assessment?
Accessibility of judgment for a lot of people is difficult because it is a costly exercise for most people. But with the legal aid system, that has helped, and also then through the pro bono system, which helps. And then it depends on individuals too. And as I've stated, what I've tried, if people come to court and they have a cause, even if there is no money, then you do it. It's part of your duty to the community to assist. And that's the way that I've approached practice. And I think, although accessibility is a difficulty, it can be assisted by helping people either doing work pro bono or through the legal aid system.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Premier. Commissioner Helens.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Mr. Besaidnout, I'd just like to put your practice into perspective. You're from a smaller bar, the Maritzburg Bar.
Yes.
You've been in practice for 31 years.
Yes.
And since 2009 as a silk. What that means, speaking from the perspective of the profession, At a smaller bar, generally practitioners have to do a wider range of work.
Yes.
So that it would therefore be so that, unlike perhaps some practitioners in Johannesburg who might specialize in insolvency, for example, at a smaller bar, because it's smaller, you specialize generally.
Yes, very much so. About the most that you can specialize in Pietermaritzburg is between civil and criminal.
Yeah.
It's so you do a wide variety of work.
And that contributes to the broad base of your experience.
Yes.
I'm trying to sketch the person you are for those who don't know how practice works. And then in your practice, you have done both criminal and civil work, motion and trial.
Yes, done.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you're fairly well known, not so much in civil, not in civil, but you know crime, you know criminal work.
Yes, yes. I've just done end of last year. I did a murder trial in the High Court again where I appeared. So
Yeah.
I still do a bit of that as well.
I think that's all I needed to put into perspective.
Commissioner Singh.
Thank you very much, and good day, Advocate President. I just have one question. In your acting stint that you presided, was it always in Pietermaritzburg or Durban, or were you asked to go to any circuit court? And I don't know if acting judges are sent out to circuit courts.
Mainly, it seems that circuit courts have not been for acting judges, in my experience, but I may be wrong. The Judge President would know better. But my stints have all been in Maritzburg. All my acting appointments have been in Pietermaritzburg.
And just to follow up, if you are appointed and you're asked to go to Tuba or Nongoma, wherever there's a court sitting, would you be amenable to that kind of
Yes,
thing?
I've got absolutely no problem with that. In my practice, I travel quite widely, and in my younger days, circuit courts was actually where I spent a lot of time.
You are excused, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mapumulo.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
I noticed that your qualifications are BProc.
Yes,
And did diploma legium come before, after BProc?
it was after BProc.
Yes, because it's either you have diploma juris
No.
or a degree before you can do legium, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not a first degree, a first diploma.
In fact, I did a BProc, and then I did an LLB, but I decided to convert the LLB to a diploma legum.
Legum, did you do it at Haras?
No, I didn't do it Haras. I did it with UNISA.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
And you also have an LLM degree.
Yes.
Did you write a dissertation or was it through coursework?
No, it's a coursework. Some of the papers were from the LLB, and then some of them were from the LLM. So it was a combination of two.
How many papers in all for the LLM program?
I think there were the LLM were 2, and then the LLB one were 4, and then they comprised. Then they made an LLM.
No short dissertation.
No, the dissertation I only did it for my LLB.
Oh, I see. Okay. For how many years were you a prosecutor, and at which court?
I was
what district, regional, high court?
I didn't go to high court. I was at a district court level, and also as a regional court prosecutor. It was for 7 months, and then
7 months at both district court and regional.
No. It was at the regional court, but from 92 up to 99, about 7 years, I was a prosecutor in a court with full jurisdiction. And before that, I had been a maintenance officer and a maintenance prosecutor for 3 years, and also about 2 years.
Yes. And for how many years were you a district court magistrate?
I was from 1999 up to 1994.
Yes.
Sorry,
I've noted it. I just wanted you to give us a year.
It's about 4.5 years.
All right. And regional court from 2005, that gives us how many years?
It's about
10, 11?
Yeah, it's about 11. Although I was already working at from 2004. It just at 1 year.
You were acting?
Yes. Okay.
All right. And the High Court, I don't know if my calculations are correct. Did you act for a total period of two months, or am I mistaken?
Yes, it's 2 months.
Yes. And was the transition from working at a magistrate's court environment to acting at a higher court level smooth, or were there some challenges?
No, I would say it was smooth because also the way it is being arranged, because you are tasked with doing that particular case until you finalize it, which is quite strange, unlike when you are doing it in a regional court where you have got to do many cases.
Yes.
I think that's what facilitated me being able to finalize those cases.
Were you able to do some civil work, motion court, or were you confined to your primary areas of responsibilities at regional court level, which is criminal work?
Yeah, I was primarily tasked with criminal court work, but
Yes.
fortunately at some stage I was given some pre-trial matters which I had to do when related to the RAF
Yes.
in terms of Rule 37.
Yes.
So I had a feel of it, how to do it.
Yes. You've never been interviewed by this forum before, have you?
Yeah, that's my first time.
All right. So let me know when you are comfortable and settled. Are you settled, or should I help to make you comfortable?
I think you can go on.
We have quite a number of women at district court, regional court level, serving as magistrates. What do you think is the difficulty in having just as high a number at a higher court level, specialist court level, SCA, constitutional court? What do you think is the problem?
I think it's a question of them giving an opportunity for them to get an exposure and to act at those courts. Just like myself, I've only gotten an exposure to acting in criminal and not civil. And then also in the past, there was this problem that people who would act in regional court, for example, there would be people from the private sector. So the people in the district court then will be overlooked. But now the situation has improved. I think also with the intervention of the justice system, Department of Justice, they say that then people who must actually be given that opportunity are the ones who are at the district court. They must go up and be given an opportunity and act in the regional court. And then that the people from the private sector start at the district court level. I think it's a question of them being given that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, it is the district court magistrate who fought. They were insisting.
I beg your pardon,
It is the district court magistrate who were insisting that they be accommodated as well, and I think rightly
yes,
so.
in fact, at some stage I did make some submission because I'm a member of Aramsa, and we did make that. Yes.
But what about attorneys and advocates? Do we have enough women at that level? Are they properly capacitated to be able to move up? Or are the challenges of the past that caused many to leave the profession still there? According to your knowledge, I know you don't operate in that space.
I think the pool is quite there, but the issue of them being capacitated, that's the one which I don't think perhaps it has been done and dealt with. Although I'm not so sure the poor mechanism which can be able to enable them to have that opportunity.
Well, let's move to the High Court a bit.
Okay.
Did you find support from senior judges while you were acting there, or did you not need it because you were tackling matters in your field of speciality?
No, in fact, I did get help from them a lot. In fact, because the other thing which I've found it profitable is also to go to attend tea club, go during tea time, and if you've got a problem, discuss it with them, and then it give you an idea how to deal with the issue, or sometimes even give you a case law which is which can help you. So I found that very fruitful. In fact, quite a number of them did assist me.
So this tea does work after all?
So it does. In fact, I remember there was one social context training which we undergo, in fact, dealing with the management, and in fact, they advocated that it's important for us to go there. Yes. That's where you get to meet also people, get acquainted with them.
Did you seize the opportunity to attend an aspirant judges program or work or training?
Yes, I did in 2012. I did.
Was it before the tests were introduced, so that it's not just a question of registering your presence, but the extent to which you have been empowered is also tested?
In fact, I can't remember often with the basic one because I attended two.
The advanced as well?
Yeah, I did attend the advanced one. The advanced one we did test. Yes. And in fact, it was like a simulated exercise, how to deal with the civil court. Yes. and the motion court, how you can manage it. Yes. And then, in fact, I remember one day we slept at around about 3 in the morning. Yes. So they were giving us so that an idea and the pressure which we can encounter. In fact, in both causes, we were told that those who have performed well, their names will be given to the JPs so that they can be able to be invited. Yes. So I don't know what happened with that.
Yes. Now, I'm sure you are settled now. You are settled now. You see that you've seen we are friendly people here.
Yes, I can see.
Yes. JP? JP, over to you.
Thank you, Chief Justice. I see that you have only acted in the criminal courts. And where was that? Was it
in fact, the first one in 2013, it was in Pietermaritzburg.
Yes.
And the second one was when I was invited by you.
Yes.
That was in October up to November.
And that was in Durban, was that?
Yes. In fact, just to point out, in fact, there was an arrangement that I would act in civil, but there were some problems which cropped up. Eventually, I did not act because the ex-JP, Justice Patel, he wanted me to act in 2013. He wanted me to act in June and August. But my president, because he has to liaise with him, he said that because there was some sort of a rotation for other people to act, he said that I cannot indefinitely act myself, so I had to give other people. And then there was a bit of a confusion between June and July, so eventually I did not act. And then also there was an offering in 2014 that I might act also, but I don't know what, and then it fizzled out.
Yes. On the 2 occasions that you acted in the High Court, it was both in doing criminal sessions. Did you finish your role in the allocated time, or was there any difficulties in doing so?
In fact, I did, although I indicated that the 2 cases I had finished, it was postponed for judgment and then for sentence. Yes. And then the last one, I finished them during the session.
Yes. There are no more part heards as far as the criminal courts are concerned.
No, I don't have any.
Yes. You have now been invited again to do civil duty. I think it's in Durban now, isn't it?
Yeah, you said, I think you've amended it here, Judge President. Yeah. I think you've amended that I should go to Pietermaritzburg.
Yes. Now, while you were acting, what were your challenges in the High Court?
Except that I found that the staff were really, they were helpful, but a little bit, I think the work ethic which I found in Durban was a little bit below what I found in Pietermaritzburg. They were readily available, the ushers, and so a little bit of a problem in Durban.
Was with the court staff?
Yeah, with the court staff.
And as far as the workload is concerned?
No, the workload was manageable. Except that the other challenge which I found was that actually one case which did not proceed was that the proper case law was not properly done, because it was found at the time when I was supposed to start the case that it was the person had to be interviewed and found that that person may have a problem with mental capacity, so that person had to be sent to the Fort Napier. So that case fell away. I felt that perhaps it could have been done timeously. I would have also been able to deal with that case.
As far as your civil experience is concerned, were you given an opportunity by the regional president to do any civil work in the regional courts?
Yes, I've been since 2013. I'm doing civil. I'm doing both motion court, and I'm also doing both trials, and I'm also doing both pre-trials. I've just compared some of them. In fact, I was just making my own exercise. I saw some of them, some similarities between what is happening at district and and also some differences. So I've done those.
And any outstanding judgments in the regional court, civil courts?
In civil court, there's none, but there are 2 parties.
Parties.
Yes.
Now, you also sat as in the commercial crime court, is that correct?
Yes.
And you, in fact, asked to be released from duties there?
Yes.
Why was that?
In fact, as I say, initially when we went there, it was supposed to be on rotation basis. All of us had undergone commercial court courses. So when I was there, as I indicated, some people that are very reluctant to go there. It's still a bit of a problematic court. So after 6 months, I was supposed to have been released as per agreement, because it was going to be on rotation. But then, as I say, the judge now, Ms. Judge Stele, asked me, because there were the people also complaining about continuity and changing of the magistrate, and he asked me that then I should continue for about 2 years. So then I agreed. But eventually, because I also enjoyed working there, I think the work ethic of the people and the staff there was impressive, so I could work with the people. So I decided to stay on for a period of 5 years. Then after 5 years, then I decided, no, now I think it's time for other people to come in, and also for time for me to see other horizons, to see and go and do civil.
Yes. Now, not having done any civil work as such in the High Court, in the event of you being appointed to the High Court, do you think not having had the opportunity to see how civil work is done in the High Court, that might be an impediment, that might be a challenge for you?
It might be a challenge, but I think it's a challenge which cannot be overcome. Because also in 2010, we also trained by judges of the High Court, KZPD. And then actually I was an understanding of Judge Lopes, although it was a short period of time. we could see it was a motion court. We had to go through the files with my colleague, it's Mrs. Keswa. And then after we've gone through those files, we had to submit to him to see our decision, how we dealt with them, whether were they correct. And what we found that was that about 90% or so were correct, and he gave us where we had made some mistake. And then he invited us also to go and watch how he managed the role. And one of which involving a Rule 43A, and he told us how we should deal with it in a robust manner. One of which was also included a summary judgment. One of it also included a divorce. So I had a little bit of a feel how to deal with it.
Yes.
Thank you, JP. Premier?
Thank you very much. Judges are normally assumed or regarded as people who give considered responses all the time. How is it in your case? Are you that kind of a person who gives what you would regard as considered or well-considered responses to questions or matters?
I think so. I try most of the time to do so.
What makes you feel that way?
Because you have to try and understand what a person wants and then apply your mind to the issue at hand and then come with an answer.
I know that, but how do you know you do it? Who has said to you, you are that type of a person who gives?
I wouldn't say somebody has said so. I think that's what I've tried to do myself, to try and exercise and listen the other side of the story and then come with the input and see how the problem at hand or the answer should be given. So I wouldn't say that somebody has said that to me. That's my I endeavor to do that.
This latest response that you are giving, you gave it before I finished saying, before I finished my question. Was it considered?
No, as I say, I would say maybe it's not considered sometimes, but it's endeavor on my part to do so.
Amounting to a wish?
I think it's a skill which one can acquire. Yeah.
The second question that I want to ask is, why do you want to be a judge?
I think I've gotten perhaps an aptitude because of my qualification and the skills which I've acquired over the year and the experience. And that I think is also a natural inclination for one to try and reach perhaps the top, and that believe that to have the capacity to do so and make some contribution. And I also believe that the judiciary can also be enhanced and the legitimacy thereof, and also filling the constitutional imperatives of to represent that is terms of race and gender, and people to continue to have also confidence in the justice system. So I can contribute together with the skills which I believe I have and also the potential which I have.
So how much inspiration do you have of becoming a judge inside yourself, apart from satisfying all these things that you're talking about, but inside you?
Yeah, as I say, I do have it, and I think it's just perhaps a natural inclination for one to try and reach the top and go up the ladder. So I do have it.
The next question is, what challenges are you observing in society that need to be dealt with by the judiciary? Things that you think that, look, the judiciary needs to assist or contribute in resolving this and that in society?
I think it's by way also we perform our duties and give reasons, judgment. In other words, so that they know if you have taken a particular decision, these are the reasons, so that they know how have you come.
No, I see that. You are part of the people who are delivering
yes.
the justice system as a service to the people.
Yes.
Now, I'm saying, what problems, what challenges are you observing in society that you think that the judiciary need to address or contribute in addressing?
It's for the society, for it to have confidence in the justice system, the way we perform our duties, and that the cases are done promptly and expeditiously, as I say, in a transparent manner that can contribute, and then the people can also then have confidence then in the justice system.
If you have had a chance to listen to your colleagues in the legal circles, what do they say is your reputation?
My reputation. They say I have that legal knowledge, and that also one would say that as a person of integrity, and that I try to give off my level best in a situation.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Premier. Commissioner Nokesi.
Thank you, Chief Justice. I'll ask you on the civil procedure.
Yes, yes.
Like, let's assume you are presiding in a motion court,
yes,
where matters are dealt with on papers.
Yes.
What is the cardinal rule in the adjudication on civil matters? The rule, the approach, the proper approach that must be adopted in adjudicating on civil, in an opposed application.
That's too wide. Do you understand it?
Maybe you can...
no, yeah, that's too wide. I think you need to be a bit more pointed.
Let me simply put it in this way. You know that in motion proceedings there will be affidavits. Matters will be on affidavit.
Yes.
Now, what I want to know, in accordance with the Plascon-Evans case,
yes,
how the court should adjudicate, that is, on the conflicted version as presented in the founding affidavit, answering affidavit, and the replying affidavit, how the court then must adjudicate on the matter.
Okay, it depends if then the matter cannot, it depends if the facts are so much whether they should be dealt on the affidavits. If they cannot, then I think there is an option open that then the matter can be then referred to oral evidence.
Okay. And in a motion court, what is your checklist, for instance, in a divorce matter? What should be your checklist?
The checklist, is it an unopposed or opposed? Okay, it's just for the parties there to see that the marriage certificate is there. If not, an explanation whether that is for the copy, and you ascertain the matrimonial regime, whether the parties are they in or out. If they are in, it's with antenuptial contract. You must have that antenuptial contract, and you look at also that the return of service, is it there? Okay, and then you look at the particulars of claim, and also you look and what is the prayer.
Lastly, Section 2 of the Constitution states that the Constitution is the supreme law, and any conduct inconsistent with the Constitution is invalid.
Yes.
What is your understanding of supremacy of the Constitution?
That is just the overriding law which governs South Africa, and so that you may come across a legislation which is then inconsistent even with the Constitution, then it's open to judicial review if somebody brings it to court, and then it can be struck out and set aside because it is inconsistent. Similarly, even any conduct of a state organ, then if it is inconsistent, then it's open to attack. So it's an overriding and law which governs our country.
Thank you, Commissioner Nokesi. Commissioner Semenya.
Chief Justice, thank you. Madam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Outside the criminal sphere of the law, how have you tried to...
Haven't you learned not to stick leave your finger in there when you shut it closed? It's before sonar. So now the new one's growing under and it's starting to push this one up. So this one's going to come off at some stage. Yeah. This is that long ago. Just caught it right there. So obviously it dies.
Hello. Yebo. Yes. All right.
Check the batteries on the iron. What time are they starting the fire again? 2. We better rush off and buy some lunch. No, well, I don't think there's any lunch. I think our food is the snacks we've been getting throughout the day, that's it. Herschel's had his money's worth.